everyone, Doug and Neely live in Copenhagen, Denmark in partnership with Reconnect Rochester and the Rochester Cycling Alliance, a project of Reconnect, to take you on a tour of downtown Copenhagen to show you all the facts and features, the features and the infrastructure that make biking as transportation accessible, normal, easy, and safe in the city and in the country. We will be taking questions at the end, and I would like to put in a plug for a screening too of the documentary Why We Cycle on September 9th that Reconnect is organizing. Keep your eye out for that. And if I've forgotten anything, I think at this point I'm going to turn it over to Doug to take it away. And the video will take about 10 to 12 minutes, and then we'll be saving and recording it and posting it on Facebook. So if you have to miss some of it, no worries. You can catch it later. Take it away.
I also want to mention, behind us in the background is Ultraport train station here in Copenhagen. The city does a great job of making trains bike accessible. We are going to talk more about that in another live feed, a bit shorter, a few minutes later. So more of that later. But for now, we're going to get on the bikes.
All right.
It's often windy in Copenhagen, so please forgive us if the audio wind gets a little loud. We'll do our best to stay out of it. And also please forgive us if the video is a little shaky when I start and stop on the bike. But we're going to show you how it is for real. So, for starters, here we have bike traffic in a separated lane up the curb from the auto traffic, with then a separate sidewalk for pedestrians. A lot of places in Copenhagen have that. Now we're transitioning into a bike lane that's just separated by paint. That's also common, and the city is pretty well engineered according to the needs of the particular place. So on big busy roads like the one we just came off of, there are almost always curbs between bikes and cars. On smaller roads like this one, paint is often good enough. And there are a lot of places too where bikes and pedestrians share a lane, usually in quiet sort of countryside settings where there's really not that much use. Helmets are not mandatory in Denmark, so as we ride around you'll see some people wear helmets, some people don't. Sort of as a personal preference. There's also some very impressive airbags that people wear around their necks. You'll see black things. They inflate if you fall. I have never seen one in action though. Yeah, they are expensive. They are expensive. So, all right, here we're coming through an intersection, and you can see there's a dedicated traffic light for bikes, separate from the one for pedestrians, separate from the one for cars. It's really nice because often the traffic patterns are different for bikes than they are for cars and pedestrians, and often the pedestrian and bike signals give a little extra time to cross the intersection before the cars get to go. You'll see there's lots of cyclists out because that's how people move around this city very often. You'll also see many of the bikes we pass today will not be studded tire mountain bikes. They will not be skinny tire carbon fiber race bikes. They will be what you might call a commuter bike or a hybrid. They tend to be more upright, not made for rapid speed, made to be comfortable cruising around the city. They tend to have a rack. They tend to have fenders, also known as mud guards. They tend to have a bell and lights because in the wintertime, Copenhagen's dark and wet. Very practical. And they're also not the most expensive bikes in the world because, well, everybody rides them everywhere. And you can see lots of public bike parking this is a metro station actually. The infrastructure is great, but the real point is the quality of life that it enables. We're here in Copenhagen at the end of this year, of living here with our 2 middle school daughters, and having bike lanes everywhere and being able to bike anywhere you need in the city, being able to take public transportation anywhere you need in the city, has enabled our middle school daughters to go wherever they need. It's really great. Kids in Denmark, and especially in Copenhagen, they bike or take public transportation to school. Parents aren't usually spending a lot of time shuttling their kids back and forth to school because the kids can just do it. Parents aren't usually spending a lot of time shuttling their kids back and forth to soccer practice or music lessons or anything else because kids can just do it. Neely was pointing at that car. It was turning right. This bike lane is between the car and that other street, and the driver was waiting for us to go by. It's nice that people do. It's not by accident. The law is if a car collides with a bike, it's automatic, no fault. So there's a strong legal incentive for that, and that's the kind of thing that could be implemented in Rochester. So back to the bit about families and kids, kids can have freedom, kids can learn responsibility. Our daughters have had a blast going over to friends' houses, coming downtown to the parks, buying candy and fries at McDonald's because they have the freedom to get around themselves. Now here we're going to turn left, and here's how people turn left when biking in Denmark. It may be different than what you're used to. It's called a jug handle turn in some places, so we're not going to merge left into that lane. We're just going to come straight across the intersection and stop and wait, and then when the light changes, we'll cross again and have completed a left turn. And what it means is you don't have to merge, and you don't have to look behind you and interact with the automotive traffic as much. You're looking here at Kongens Nytorv, one of the big public squares. Lots of bike parking. There's lots of shopping here, lots of tourism here, and plenty of good infrastructure to get around with bikes. We're coming up ahead on Nyhavn, which is one of the very favorite tourist spots. Among all those people up ahead is a canal that comes in. We'll get a better view of it in a sec. Neely's signaling. Notice there are separate bike lanes for turning and going straight here. We have a dedicated signal again. Even for a right turn, we're not interacting with the auto traffic, but there are pedestrians, so we need to wait for the light. Not everybody waits all the time, but cops will get you for that. Here's our green arrow. Here's another dedicated signal. It's changing for us, and we're turning. So this is Nyhavn. You'll see lots and lots of pedestrians, people out at the cafes along the water on the left. You may be able to see tour boats. There's one down below on the water. It's a beautiful place to come on a beautiful Saturday afternoon in July. This is a one-way street for cars, but it's not a one-way street for bikes, which is really nice because we can cut through. There are examples of that in Rochester. It's good planning sometimes to give a bike a cut through. McLean Street between Mount Hope and Wilson Boulevard is one example. So you can see there's tons of pedestrians. You can also see there are a whole lot of cyclists up ahead because, well, that's just how people go. Speaking of up ahead, we're coming on the newest bridge in town. Copenhagen is an old port town with lots of harbors and canals and waterways. It has this in common with Rochester, where we have the Genesee and the Erie Canal. And so a lot of getting around is all about bridges. This is the newest one. It supports no auto traffic, only bikes and pedestrians. It's retractable so big boats can go underneath, and it's a great place to get a gorgeous view of the waterfront downtown. And things like this could be part of Rochester, in particular through the Rock to Riverway project, which is ongoing. As maybe you've heard about it, it's a combination of state and city initiative, and they're thinking big about ways to improve the waterway, especially along the Genesee River in downtown Rochester, especially for bikes and pedestrians. Here, Neely is signaling. These are yield markers, so we have to look before we cross and come up on the bridge. Note the blue sign that gives us a clear marking of where the pedestrians are supposed to go and where the bikes are supposed to go. Climbing up the bridge now. This is the retractable bit. And you can see the Opera House, this grand building with the big roof on our left. You can see a big chunk of the harbor. You can see lots and lots of people out. We're going to pull over here because it's a nice place to look around a bit more and take questions and respond to comments. Before we do, I want to mention, I want to show you a bit more of the water. Lots of boats out, lots of kayaks, sunbathers on a sunny day in the summertime. People in Copenhagen like to get out. You can see the next bridge in the distance there. It does support auto traffic as well as a dedicated bike lane. Beyond it are more bridges. There are at least 3 dedicated to bikes and pedestrians over this waterway. And if we were to continue down this bridge, there's a small bit of land and then another waterway beyond, and maybe you can see there's another dedicated bike pedestrian bridge. So these are not bridges to nowhere. They are functional routes that get people into the places where they need to go in their lives. All right, so with that, Neely is looking at the feed for questions and comments. We would love to respond to any thoughts you have. None so far. Well, let's see. We could walk on down where it's less windy. Again, I really want to emphasize Copenhagen has been doing this for a long time and been very intentional about building up their public transportation and bike infrastructure, but it's not magic. Rochester can do a lot of these things. We can implement these things. We have waterways, we have bridges, we already have the cycle path with bike lanes separated from traffic by a curb along Elmwood Avenue that just went up and is scheduled to be extended. We have, I believe there's cycle paths planned on Main Street. There's the bike boulevard system in Rochester which gives a whole network of routes for cyclists to get around town on connected streets that are not major thoroughfares where you don't have to compete with cars so much. They're quieter. More is in the works, and more than that could be in the works. So these things translate, and there are models in the world that we could be looking at, and here's just one.
We're at 14 minutes.
All right, I think we're at 14 minutes. Should we sign off here? And
don't forget the...
So okay, we're at 14 minutes. I think we're going to sign off because we don't want to go too long. We will post this video and have it linked from the Rochester Cycling Alliance, Reconnect Rochester Facebook. Remember, upcoming on September 9th is a screening of the great documentary movie Why We Cycle, about another bike capital of the world, Amsterdam. What else do we need to remember to say?
I think that was it. We covered it all.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for joining us today, and maybe I'll close with one more shot of this beautiful July afternoon. There's Newhound for you. Think about living in a place with bicycle and pedestrian lifestyle like this. Let's think about making our place that place.
Hi everyone, this is Neely and Doug again, take 2 for the train, taking the train, the S-tow, with a bike, and just wanted to let folks know how the integration of the S-tow with bike transportation makes it easy to just get basically anywhere within Copenhagen. So Doug is standing at a place on the platform where that's where you stand, because that's where the bike car is going to pull up. And so there are designated bike cars, and we will show you what that looks like as soon as we get in. And I think our train, that is the view of Norhound, popular swimming spot, walking. Our train is about a minute away, and I'd have to say the EUs, I was pretty passionate about this particular feature of the public transportation in Copenhagen because, again, we can get just about anywhere with our bike, and it's free. So we've already checked, but here comes our train, and we're going to demonstrate how to get in. And then we're going to hop on, show you the bike car, and then see, the bike cars are well marked. There we go. You get in one way and out the other. You let people on the train get off first, and each car So Doug is looking for a place to park his bike. It's a little crowded. It's Saturday evening here, and someone is trying to move their bike. And to facilitate the flow of bike traffic, you get in one direction and out the other direction. And you can see the little hooks to put your back wheel in the bike car. And then this guy must be getting off at the next stop, so he's going to the other end of the car. Doug couldn't find the parking spot, so I'm going to make my way down to the end of the car here before I end the video and just show how someone gets off. And then I'm going to sign off. And thank you again for joining us. We'll be saving this video. There's no one behind us. Again, these cars are really well marked. These trains have really allowed myself and my children to explore Copenhagen. And it's just super easy on, super easy off with all the bikes. Use your elbow because we're in COVID and we want to keep germs at a minimum. I'm not getting off. Doug, I'm not getting off. And that's it. Okay, thanks everyone.